Hi there, it's great to have you on board using LeadByte. We really look forward to you scaling your business through our technology. You're watching this video more than likely because you've received instruction to do so via one of our onboarding team members. And the idea of the onboarding is to get you up and running as quickly as possible using the platform, generating your leads, passing those leads into LeadByte, and then distributing those leads to your buyers. That's the whole objective, be it whatever vertical you might be in: insurance, debt, finance, solar panels, broadband, utilities. The principle is essentially the same. A lead comes in from a source, be it a website. The lead is then assigned to a buyer based on certain logic, be it caps or based on location, certain data rules. And the lead is delivered to that buyer, and then you can report on that. So it doesn't really matter what vertical you're in. Everything seems to follow a very similar pattern. And the idea of this video is to show you, or to at least remind you off the back of a demo that you more than likely had, on how that all happens, how we stitch it all together essentially. So the first thing I'm going to do is take you to a website. So I'm going to paint this picture that I am a lead generator. I generate broadband leads in this instance. This is my website. It's just a demo, but this is my website, and I have 3 buyers, and I drive traffic from Facebook straight to this landing page, and I want to distribute the lead to one of my 3 buyers exclusively. And I'll let the system decide what buyer it should go to based on the logic that has gone into the platform. So pretty simple stuff. The first thing I'm just going to take you through here is just pay note to this URL. So this is how we've decided to capture certain information. So SID, you'll find out later about SID, but SID is a supplier ID. In this instance, SID number 1 is Facebook. So in my system, I have configured, so under campaigns and suppliers, I have configured Facebook as one of my suppliers. That's SID number 1. That enables LeadByte to identify where that lead's come from. I'm using SSID, so sub-supplier ID. In this instance, I'm actually using sub-supplier ID as my targeting. So in this instance, it's a broad audience, 18 to 30. So when the lead ultimately comes into LeadByte and it's sold to a buyer, I can actually see where it's come from, so Facebook, and I can see what ad campaign or what audience, however you want to tag it, that lead has been generated from. So that explains that part of the URL. Okay, so I'm just going to submit this data. What we should just see is a thank you page, which is controlled. Now, your landing pages may be hard-coded. You may have designers for this. You may be using something like Unbounce or equivalent. Whatever it is, there is a way to integrate the data into LeadByte. And we essentially accept a JSON post request. So very simple for you to post data in, get back a response, redirect that customer to a thank you page, and then LeadByte will deal with the distribution of that lead to the buyer. So a lead has been submitted. So if I now go to the lead screen, there were a few tests in here earlier I can see. Yeah, okay. So here is the lead that has just come through now. So 1538. Yes, about the right time. So the lead has come in. With every lead that comes in, a lead ID is generated. The record summary is made up of either email or first name and last name if it's given. What campaign it's gone into. We create campaigns here. So campaigns to you may be either the vertical that you operate in. So for example, debt, life insurance. In this instance, it's broadband. That's the most common thing you use a campaign for. So create it as a vertical. Where the lead came from. So we gave the example that it was a supplier Facebook. I know that this lead has come from my broad audience, 18 to 30, for example. And LeadByte has now dealt with who to allocate this lead to. So it's gone to buyer number 2. I'm just going to pause here, and you can see that as I hover over, the first buyer, so buyer number one, rejected that lead. So the lead was sent to them in real time. The server, the CRM, the dialer rejected that lead because it was a duplicate. That then came back to LeadByte. LeadByte then assigned it, or attempted to assign it, to the second buyer. So that's then been sent to the second buyer, and that buyer has actually accepted it, which is why it is green. So that's just an example of how LeadByte can post to one system. If that system rejects it, then send it to the next system in line, or next buyer in line. And that's what's been done. The lead has been sold for £5 in this instance. So if I just very quickly take you through the touch points there. So the first thing is that you need to create a supplier, and there's more training guides on what suppliers are and how to create them. So a supplier is, think of it as, in this instance, Facebook, Google, Twitter, YouTube. It could also be one of your affiliates. So if you run an affiliate network and you want to track where your leads have come from, you can create your affiliates here. We call them suppliers. They're suppliers of leads. You may commonly refer to them as sources or affiliates or publishers. The next thing is creating your buyers. Again, there will be videos on what you need to do here and what a buyer is, but essentially a buyer in your world may be a client, so someone that's going to buy your leads that you generate, and hopefully that's the main reason why you're using LeadByte. The main type of clients that we've got are lead generators and lead buyers, but more of our clients are lead generators, agencies. So once you've created your suppliers and buyers, and then you will go on to creating your campaign, and again there is training videos on what is a campaign and the importance of creating a campaign correct from the beginning. So once I've created a campaign and I have a supplier and a buyer, I will then move on to the delivery section. Now, a delivery is essentially a buyer contract. So this is essentially, it's like an order form. It's essentially saying, right, who's going to buy this lead? How much are they going to pay for it? What data do I need to send to them? And how am I going to get that data there? And equally, what data do I not want to send to them? So for example, you may have a buyer contract that says broadband company X is going to pay £10 for a lead. They only want leads that are generated Monday to Friday between 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. And they do not want leads in a specific city or state. So you can, as part of your delivery, you would set all of that information within that delivery. It may also include, by the way, caps. So this buyer may decide that they only want 20 leads per day, at which point you can actually put that into the delivery. And yeah, a delivery, just to very quickly show you, as we say, is made up of who is the buyer, how much are they paying for the lead, where am I sending the data to, are there any caps? Yes, there are 30 a day. What data am I actually sending to them? So in this instance, it's just email, first name and phone. Are there any rules? In this instance, there are not. Do we need to configure any responses from their remote system? Yes, we do. That determines whether a lead will be successful or not. That's a very important part of the system. And all this advanced setting is only something that you will use if the buyer's system requires it. But that's essentially a buyer contract. So then when I run a report, and in this instance, I'm going to run a campaign summary report. And if I run this campaign summary report for today, we did some testing, but we can see that 5 leads have been generated, 3 were valid, 2 were rejected by LeadByte, i.e. it was a duplicate or a dead lead. 3 have been approved, essentially sold. This is the revenue that I've made. These are the costs associated to my supplier. This is obviously just, example data, and I essentially have a P&L. So very basic report in that instance, but gives you enough information to identify how your financials are looking. So again, welcome on board. Thank you for choosing LeadByte. I will encourage you to now watch the rest of the videos below this link that you would have initially found this video on. And if you've got any questions, then that's the whole purpose of the onboarding, is to raise any points of concern. If you don't understand anything, then do let us know. But you should be up and running very quickly.